Now, when I'm dealing with clients and I'm suggesting diets or different types of lifestyle changes that they can take on board in order to be able to lose weight, I'm always looking for the length of time in which that thing is sustainable. So, for example, if you did a diet which was very limiting in terms of what you can and can't eat, those diets don't tend to last very long because they tend to become limiting, frustrating, and also just boring. And in my opinion, the keto diet doesn't do that at all. It does give you a lot of option, and also it allows you to really be quite creative with the meals and the recipes that you can have. Now, there are two things that I would suggest to be aware of when you're looking at the keto diet. The first thing is that you pretty much can't come away from the keto diet. It is a lifestyle choice. Therefore, if you decide to come off that lifestyle choice or that diet for a certain period of time, you will find it quite hard to go back on. And I believe this is because the body has got used to having a certain routine and a certain type of food, that when you refeed certain types of processed foods back into the body, it actually is quite hard for the body to go back to the keto diet. I don't think it's healthy to yo-yo in and out of any type of diet, but especially the keto diet. And that is because I think it's just so difficult to be able to keep on track with it. The second thing that I would suggest with the keto diet is that when working with clients, I find that after a while they do stagnate. And I think this is because they are pretty much in the same routine or the same pattern day in, day out, week in, week out. Therefore, what I think you probably should do is switch things up from time to time. It probably is a good idea to actually take on more carbohydrate calories sometimes when you are starting to find that you're kind of getting into a bit of a lull. I think that a lot of people on the keto diet, and my client included, tend to get fixated on the fact that they want to lose weight, but obviously weight loss does take quite a lot of time, and if you suppress the amount of food that you're eating per day and you're not eating enough food, it's going to naturally lower or depress your metabolism. So it is a fantastic diet. It has got a lot of pros to it, but I think one of the quite obvious cons that I find when I'm working with clients is that they tend to stagnate and they tend to stop losing weight. And although they have been advised to lose weight or they want to lose weight, they tend to forget that they actually do need to eat enough fuel in terms of all your macros, your carbohydrates, your fats and your proteins to be able to fuel your metabolism and for your metabolism to be able to burn more body fat. However, as an overall, I would say that the keto diet, if performed properly, can be a much healthier option of dieting or lifestyle transformation. It tends to offer quite a lot of healthy recipes, and I think that a lot of the carbohydrate that you choose tends to lean more towards the fruit and vegetables than it does highly processed foods, which is obviously going to be much better for you. So overall, in my opinion, I think this is a fantastic option for you to explore if you feel that the keto diet would work for you. This diet does actually offer quite a lot. It offers the individual the opportunity to have flexibility. It offers the individual the opportunity to lose quite a decent amount of weight in a healthy way. And it also offers people who suffer with diseases such as type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, and people who also have blood pressure. It offers them a chance to be able to reduce those things because of the types of foods that you're eating. Obviously, as I said at the beginning, you are dropping out 1/3 of the macronutrient trio, which are proteins, fats and carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are the one that you're actually going to lower. And so therefore, because of that, your glycogen or your blood sugar tends to be lower, which also has a positive effect on your insulin levels, which also will tend to be lower and spike less, and also can have a positive reflection on their weight loss. Now, the two things that I would suggest that you look out for when you're intermittent fasting are the fact that even though you're eating within a controlled period of time, you're eating within your window, let's say that's going to be 8 hours, you still obviously are going to eat food, you're going to have your meals. But the one thing that IF doesn't necessarily teach you is to eat better. Okay, it does actually encourage you to eat pretty much the diet that you were having before, but within a limited amount of time. So if you can imagine that you ate throughout the entire day, so let's say that you started eating at 8 a.m, then you had lunch at 1, and then you had a snack at 5, and then you had your final dinner at 7 or 7:30 p.m. Basically what that means is that you've eaten throughout the day, and throughout the day your blood glucose and your insulin levels will be going up and down, up and down. What intermittent fasting does is it controls that. It restricts it and it puts it in a time frame. That's absolutely fine. Now, what I have found working with some clients, and especially this client as an individual, is that he wasn't really choosing better foods to eat. Intermittent fasting doesn't really encourage that. Now, if you are an individual who does know how to eat better or does want to choose to start eating better, then that's obviously going to help you tremendously, because it's going to allow you to stop eating bad foods or highly processed foods or foods that are really high in sugar or saturated fat. Those are the types of foods that aren't going to help you in the long run. And the reason they're not going to help you in the long run is because they're not going to feed your gut microbiome very well. Your gut microbiome is very important, and if you feed it well, basically it's going to keep you feeling better, it's going to help your metabolism better, and it's going to be generally overall a better opportunity for you to lose weight and just feel healthier. But this client that I worked with, even though he took on intermittent fasting, the one thing that he said to me is, Chris, I'm still choosing to drink a lot of coffee. I'm still choosing to drink Diet Cokes. I'm still choosing sandwiches, and I don't feel that I'm really losing the type of weight that I want to lose. Intermittent fasting doesn't necessarily teach you to eat better. It just teaches you to eat within a window of time. What I suggest you do with intermittent fasting, and this is just from working with clients, is that you start to look at ways in which you can control the time and make the time a little bit more challenging. What I would suggest you may do is that you eat within an 8-hour window, you also eat within a 6-hour window, and you also eat within a very restricted window of maybe 2 to 4 hours. Why would you do this? Well, in basic layman's terms, you're going to keep the body interested. You're going to keep the body from stagnating. So you're still eating a decent amount of food, and as I said before, you should always really choose to eat low processed foods that are rich in fiber, foods that are rich in fat and protein, and also have got some really healthy carbohydrates with them, foods that aren't very highly processed. But if you're going to choose intermittent fasting, and when I've done intermittent fasting myself, what I've done is I've found that by choosing to eat in different windows at different times and trying to spread that throughout my week, my working week, my body's always guessing, doesn't quite get used to the fact that I'm always going to eat within an 8-hour window between 12 and 8 p.m. Just as an example, it doesn't know when the next window is going to be, so therefore it has to pull resources or energy from different areas of my body to be able to use it until it can eat again. Now, the one thing that I'd also say as well is that when I've decided to have a really small window of time, so let's say that I only eat for 4 hours of the day, what I have chosen to do is I've prepared that day. So before I've actually got to that day, so let's say that day was the middle of the week, so let's say that I chose to eat on a Wednesday and I'm only going to eat for 4 hours, so I'm going to eat from 2 till 6 p.m. afternoon to early evening. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to prepare that day Monday or Tuesday, so a few days before, because I want to make sure that I don't get it too wrong. I want to make sure that my meals are prepared, so when I'm at work, the meals that I need to eat are going to be there for me to eat when I'm going to break that period of fasting. Okay, so I think where intermittent fasting can fail individuals is that it can get a bit boring and it doesn't necessarily teach you what you need to know in terms of eating better. But what I would suggest is that you look at choosing better foods that aren't as highly processed, and also foods that, like I said again, that are rich in fats, proteins and fiber, and also you're getting some decent carbohydrate from decent sources, and also that you mix things up, make things a challenge, make things interesting. I think that you would probably enjoy that process more, and your body would probably also respond to it better. So the pros of intermittent fasting are that it's easy to do, it's easy to onboard, and you do get some great results, and you definitely can lose weight. The cons of intermittent fasting are that it can get a little bit boring, so you need to change things so you don't stagnate, and also the fact that intermittent fasting doesn't necessarily teach you how to eat better, it just teaches you how to eat within a restricted window of time. What I would recommend with calorie counting and macro tracking is that it actually teaches you what you consume. So I'd like to give you a challenge. The challenge would be is that if you track between 3 to 5 days all the food that you consume and put it into an app such as MyFitnessPal, you'll be able to see how much you're actually intaking. You actually be able to see how many calories you're taking in per day, what type of calories they are, and also the amount of what macros you're kind of tending to go towards. So let's say that you're someone who eats quite a lot of breads, pastas, sometimes you had the odd treat here and there. The carbohydrate that you intake will be quite high, and that might be one of the reasons as to why you're storing weight so easily. The other thing is that you are creating a food diary. When you're tracking food, when you're tracking calories, you're actually keeping a diary of what you consume, and it's quite hard for an individual to be able to remember what they ate last Friday. Whereas when you're using an app such as MyFitnessPal, it allows you to go back to what you actually ate, and it allows you to look at what you're doing, and therefore you can start to make choices and decisions of how to eat better and how to track better, and just track every single thing that you have, wherever, even if it's something the size of a pea or a peanut. Just put it in on your MyFitnessPal or any calorie tracking app and just see what your diet looks like when it's written down. I guarantee that it will help you, and it will probably also surprise you. Remember, you need to make sure that you're not over consuming, and also importantly that you're not under consuming, because if you're under consuming, what you're going to do is you're going to start to lower your metabolism, and your body's going to struggle to lose weight because it doesn't want to drop weight, because basically it's not having enough energy, it's not having enough fuel. So the pros to calorie tracking or macro tracking are that they will lose weight. As I said before, it almost is an exact science because it's been worked out for you as an individual. It does allow you to track the foods that you're consuming, and it does give you a reflection on what you can change and what you can improve on, and how you can get better at just generally improving your diet. The negatives of this type of diet or lifestyle change are that it can be quite restrictive, it can be very, very repetitive, and it can also get quite boring, and also it does take up an awful amount of time because you're constantly weighing food, you're tracking food, which means you're writing it in a diet diary such as MyFitnessPal. And I think that after a period of time you kind of start to get a little bit disillusioned with it. When I've been working with clients before, I always make sure that they only do a very, very short amount of time on calorie tracking and macro tracking, just because I don't want them to get bored with the idea of losing weight. I want them to lose weight. They want to lose weight. They have employed me to lose weight. However, when you're trying to lose weight with a client, or whether you're trying to lose weight yourself, it's very, very important that you have an understanding of what you're doing currently so that you can move forward from that. If you don't understand what you're doing currently, then you won't be able to lose weight well. You might lose weight on all three of these diets. So if you look at the keto diet, if you look at the intermittent fasting diet, and if you look at the calorie or macro tracking diet, you will lose weight on all of these, but you want to think about this in the long term. Are you going to do this because you want to lose weight and then you want to stop at a certain time? Because if you do, then that's really more of a diet, and a diet doesn't really work. Diets don't really work for individuals because they only are ever temporary. They're only something that are going to lose weight for you, but you don't learn anything. But if you choose a diet which is going to affect your lifestyle for the positive, and it's actually going to help you to lose weight over a long period of time, it's going to be something that you want to do, and it's going to be something that you want to be able to keep doing for a long period of time. Over that long period of time, you are going to naturally just lose weight because you're going to be eating better, you're going to be eating at better times, and you're going to be, sort of quite importantly, preparing your food, preparing your meals, thinking about what you're eating. Those factors I don't think diets always consider. So it is more the fact that keto dieting, intermittent fasting, and also calorie tracking and macro tracking are all things that I feel are the three ways in which you can successfully lose weight, but you can also successfully continue to do those things for a long period of time. You could possibly look at it as a lifestyle change forever. Now, one thing that I would like you to consider is the fact that if you took two of those three diets and merge them together, you probably would actually have some fantastic results. So for example, if you took ketogenic dieting and also intermittent fasting and merged them together, that actually do quite a lot for you. The ketogenic dieting would probably teach you to eat better because you're not allowed to be able to eat so much processed carbohydrate, and the intermittent fasting would actually help you control that in a window of time. Therefore, you wouldn't need the third diet, which is calorie and macro tracking, because you're kind of doing it a different way. You're macro tracking because you're eating a ketogenic diet, which is there to basically be able to control what you are and what you're not going to choose to have, because it needs to be more fat and protein rich. The contents of your food needs to have those macros in it. And then also, rather than counting calories, you're more counting time, which is much easier, because all you've got to do it is in stages. So you've got to say, the first stage of my day, I'm generally not going to eat. Then the second stage of my day, which let's say breaks at 12 p.m, I'm going to eat, and I'm allowed to eat all the way through till 8 p.m. That's the second stage. And the third stage is basically going to be, well, when I stop eating is basically when I'm going to rest, I'm going to go to sleep. And again, I'm not going to break that all the way around until the next day, which could possibly be 12 p.m. or it could be a different time, but you get the point. The point is that you're eating within a window of time. And again, if you're choosing something such as ketogenic dieting, you are eating better forms or better quality food. On the other hand, you could use calorie counting and macro tracking as a way to keep a diary, very simply for a week to 2 weeks, so that you can see what you're doing. You could then look at your diary and make better choices through the ketogenic diet. So with the ketogenic diet, you're going to be having less processed carbohydrates, and you're hopefully going to be upping the amount of protein, fat and fiber that you're having, and therefore you can add that into your MyFitnessPal and see how that works for you. For example, if you've got a week where you're eating your normal diet and then you're going to review those types of foods, and you're going to say, oh, okay, actually I'm eating quite a lot of processed carbohydrate here, my sugar is really high for that day. And then you look at the ketogenic diet where you're going to say, well, I'm only allowed a certain amount of carbohydrate per day, what do I choose to have? That's going to make a very big difference. It's going to be very impactful on your overall outlook of how you're going to choose to eat, and over a period of time that will have a really successful result in terms of you losing weight overall, and also helping other things such as diabetes, high blood pressure and high cholesterol. So guys, I hope you found this video insightful, and it also gives you a way in which you can choose to lose weight successfully through the How to Diet and Do It Correctly series. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and also comment below. It helps me make more great content for you. It also helps the YT algorithm so the video can get more views, so I can help other people. Choose the right diet that works for you. Be fit, be healthy, and of course, be a boss bar.
It's the Yo Bossy Wish.